Greetings everyone and welcome back to 365 Days of Prog. Today we will be reviewing the first live album on this list called Space Ritual by the band Hawkwind.
Hi, my name's Naomi. I'm an avid progressive rock fan, but I'm a long ways from knowing all the prog albums out there. But this year, I'm gonna give it a try. This is 365 Days of Prog.
So as I said, this is the first live album on this list, and that does mean that the music was played live, and it's a different sort of thing, an idea, and of course it's an experience, but we're gonna get to all of that in a second, because I firstly want to share with you my favorite bits of this album, so enjoy.
Making love, it is imperative to bring all bodies to orgasm simultaneously. Do not waste time.
So firstly, before we get into this, I must address the fact that there are certain two releases of this live performance, and it all has some different recordings on them because they've been taken from Liverpool concerts, the London concerts, and I think somewhere else. So I chose this one release by no actual study or anything, it's just what I found first on Spotify. I have also taken the liberty and dismissed the last 3 songs because they were either repeats of a song we've already heard, or they were taken from a different set of concerts which I thought would, destroy the mood of the album, so I listened to this entirety without the last 3 tracks. So besides this being the first Hawkwind album I'm listening to on this list, this is also the first live album on this list, and I'm saying this because the liveliness of it is going to be a major part of this review. I believe once music is recorded, it is not really live anymore, and I think that makes a lot of sense. When you take a live performance and you call it live on a recording, it's not really live because it's already recorded. There is no second to actually being there and listening to the music in real time. And the reason those two are so different and crucial is because a live performance is not only just the experience of sound, it's the experience of all the senses. You get to be there, you get to feel everything over there, you get to smell the smells, you see the sights, and you hear the sounds. It's an entirely different experience, and I'm sure all of you have been to at least one concert ever, and you know what it means to actually be there, unlike what it means to listen to what was and happened over there. So speaking about the album itself, it starts off really strong. It does start off with really great songs, and they sound really cohesive and well thought out. And I think as the album progresses on, they kind of deteriorate into an amalgamation of sounds which is not so good as the beginning, just because it's not really understandable anymore. There are some points where the music, the mixing, the singing is really off. You can't hear the singer. Some instruments sound really distorted, but I don't think they had distortion on them. And I think the music kind of deteriorates in its overall level as the band goes on playing. And I'm saying this because I believe that has to do something with a part of the experience. Yes, this is a Hawkwind album. It is psychedelic rock and space rock. This is basically a music type to actually experience whilst intoxicated in some way. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you should, but I do believe that people that were in these concerts experiencing it probably had more than just one bottle of beer to actually go with them, and that probably added a lot to the entire experience. Because as you start off the night and you progress into it, I assume that there is some sort of this ritual going on, that everyone is getting into the experience of the music, and it's an amalgamation, as I said, of senses which all really flow within each other, and suddenly the music is less cohesive, it's more flowing. You get to experience some other things which are more than sounds. Of course, there's a lot of the songs on here. I'm gonna put that like that because they're not really songs, they're actually spoken word segments, which I assume can really get your mind going on about other things that are not the music itself. Now, the way I describe all of this is really odd, but you probably understand what I'm saying if you know what a live experience and a live concert is. It's not just the experience of sound. Every sense is stimuli, and I think that's the entire idea. That's why this album isn't as great as it would have been to listen to whilst live. But still, as I said, the beginning of this album was my favorite of it, and in particular, I really loved The Lord of Light. And yes, I know it sounds like a Game of Thrones reference, but that song is really good. I don't know why, because it is pretty repetitive at times, but something about the vibes, the energy of that song just really caught on to me. I really had a great time listening to it. I was like struggling to think if it was whether a 10 song, a 9 or an 8. I didn't really know, but I knew it was really up there. One thing I'm not really a big fan on here, like put aside the experience and everything, I'm not really a big fan of the singing on here. I find it to be really odd. He's like always kind of off in some way, and that was really apparent on the Born to Go track. Like, it was a good song, it was really good, I really liked listening to it, but something about the singing just didn't really add up, but I guess it was bearable enough. And another thing about this album is its length. It's a really long album, and it was kind of daunting, going into this. And recently we've had a lot of really long albums on here, and that's been really scary going through them, because of course I want to do these things daily, and it's really hard listening to an album that is an hour and a half long each day. So I'm not sure if they've just all concentrated to this one point and they're gonna leave us for the time being, or are we just expecting to see more and more of those really long albums. Honestly, when it comes to live albums, I compare them all to Pictures at an Exhibition by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. For me, that is the best live recording there could ever be, and everything is just, I'm putting it beside it, saying, how do they match within each other, and I see if I like this album or not. And I've did the same with the Hawkwind album, and it matches fairly well, not entirely good at all, but it matches pretty well. But before I get to the rating, I have to talk about the cover of the album itself. So I like this cover. I like it for its art style. I think the main thing I really like about it is the way that it's drawn. There's something about the way that the colors, the lines, the everything is shown that is really beautiful. I'm not really the biggest fan of the subject matter. I think it's a really psychedelic cover, and that's expected from this concert at least. But overall, I really like this style. Another thing I liked is if you look close, you can actually see glimpses of the stage in the background put into the drawing itself, and I think that's a really nice touch, because this is overall a live album and you should mention that when you're doing the cover for it. But yeah, I just really like the art style on here. So overall, for the rating of this album, I'd give it a very lively 6 out of 10. I think it's a good album. I think if it kept the level it had at the beginning, this could have easily been an 8 album, but it just goes downhill from there in a way which I can only assume is excusable if you were there listening, seeing, experiencing it live. But I guess that's about it for me rambling about this album, and I'd like to invite you all for tomorrow's album, because we're going to be listening to K.A. by Magma. This is going to be the first Magma album we're going to listen to on this series, and there are a few more coming up in the upcoming year, and I'm really excited for it, so I hope you all are excited too, and I'll see you all tomorrow when we hit a month of 365 Days of Prog. I'll see you all tomorrow, guys.